In the quiet light of dawn, a remarkable world awakens. It is a world buzzing with purpose, driven by millions of tiny, tireless workers. These are the bees, the unsung heroes of our planet. Their day begins not with a grand announcement, but with a gentle hum that builds into a symphony of industry. Each bee has a role, a specific task to perform for the good of its colony. They are a perfect example of nature's intricate design, a community working in complete harmony. We often see them as simple insects, but their lives are filled with extraordinary complexity and an unwavering dedication to their work that shapes the very world we live in. The life of a worker bee is a constant journey, a relentless search for nature's sweet rewards. They leave the warmth of the hive and venture out into the vast green world. Their destination is a field of flowers, a meadow bursting with color and life. Here, they perform a delicate dance. They move from blossom to blossom, their fuzzy bodies brushing against the pollen. This golden dust is the key to life for so many plants. The bees are not just taking nectar for themselves, they are taking part in a vital ancient ritual that has sustained ecosystems for millions of years, connecting the plant kingdom in a web of interdependence. As they gather nectar, a sugary liquid that will become honey, something magical happens. The pollen clings to their legs and bodies like fine yellow powder. When the bee flies to the next flower, some of this pollen rubs off. This simple act is called pollination. It is how flowers are able to make seeds and grow new plants. Without this transfer of pollen, many plants could not reproduce. The bee, in its quest for food, becomes an accidental gardener, a messenger of life, ensuring that the fields and forests will continue to bloom for generations to come, painting the landscape with vibrant life. This daily work is not just for the flowers, it is for us too. The bees' tireless efforts help to grow many of the foods that we eat every single day. Think of juicy apples, sweet strawberries, and crunchy almonds. All of these, and countless others, rely on bees to carry pollen from one blossom to another. They are crucial partners in our global food system. The economic value of this pollination service is immense, reaching billions of dollars each year. But its true value cannot be measured in money. It is measured in the health of our planet and the food on our plates. Now let us imagine a world that has fallen silent. A world where the familiar buzz in our gardens and fields has disappeared. What would happen if the bees were to vanish from our planet? The consequences would be profound and far-reaching, touching every corner of our lives. The vibrant colors of the meadows would begin to fade. Wildflowers that depend on bees for pollination would struggle to produce seeds, leading to their slow decline. This would set off a chain reaction, affecting the insects and animals that rely on those plants for food and shelter. Our planet's rich biodiversity would be deeply wounded. The impact on our food supply would be nothing short of catastrophic. Over 3/4 of the world's leading food crops depend, at least in part, on pollination by bees and other animals. Foods we often take for granted, like coffee, chocolate, and many fruits and vegetables, would become scarce and incredibly expensive. The variety on our dinner tables would shrink dramatically. We would be left with crops that are pollinated by the wind, such as wheat and rice. Our diets would become less nutritious and far less interesting. The global food system, so carefully built, would face a crisis unlike any it has ever known. Beyond the fields and farms, the wider natural world would suffer immensely. Bees are what we call a keystone species. This means that they are a small part of the ecosystem, but they have a huge effect on it. Their disappearance would cause the entire structure to weaken and potentially collapse. Many wild plants that form the foundation of forests and grasslands would fail to reproduce. This loss of plant life would lead to soil erosion and disrupt the delicate balance of countless habitats. The intricate, beautiful tapestry of nature, woven over millennia, would begin to unravel thread by thread. The economic fallout would spiral globally, affecting farmers and communities everywhere. The agricultural industry, which supports millions of families, would be crippled. The cost of producing the foods that do remain would skyrocket, making healthy eating a luxury for the few rather than a right for the many. The beauty and wonder of the natural world, which inspires us and enriches our lives, would be greatly diminished. A world without bees is a poorer world in every sense. Less colorful, less diverse, and far less resilient. It is a future we must work diligently to avoid. These vital pollinators are facing unprecedented threats, and their populations are in sharp decline across the globe. The very fabric of their existence is being torn apart by a combination of human-driven pressures. One of the greatest dangers is the loss of their natural homes, or habitats. As our towns and cities expand, and as we convert wild meadows into vast fields for single crops, we destroy the very flowers and nesting sites that bees need to survive. This intensive farming, known as monoculture, creates a food desert for bees, offering them a feast for a few weeks and then starvation for the rest of the year. Another grave danger comes from the chemicals we use to grow our food. Pesticides, designed to kill insects that damage crops, often do not distinguish between pests and beneficial pollinators. Even at low levels, these chemicals can harm bees. They can damage their ability to navigate, making it difficult for them to find their way back to the hive. They can weaken their immune systems, making them more vulnerable to diseases and parasites. The widespread use of these potent chemicals across our agricultural landscapes is creating a toxic environment for the very creatures our food system depends upon. The changing climate of our planet also casts a long shadow over the future of bees. Rising temperatures and unpredictable weather patterns disrupt the delicate timing between bees and the flowers they pollinate. Flowers may bloom earlier or later than usual, before the bees have emerged from hibernation or after they have finished their flight season. This mismatch means that the bees miss their source of food and the plants miss their chance to be pollinated. Extreme weather events such as droughts and floods can also destroy entire colonies and the floral resources they need to survive. Finally, bees are falling victim to a host of diseases and parasites that are spreading more easily in our interconnected world. Stressed by poor nutrition, pesticide exposure and habitat loss, bee colonies become weaker and less able to fight off infections. The introduction of non-native bee species like the managed European honeybee can sometimes introduce new diseases to wild bee populations and increase competition for scarce food resources. These combined threats create a perfect storm, pushing many of the world's 20,000 bee species towards the brink of extinction. The hum is growing fainter. Despite these grave challenges, there is still hope. The future of the bees is not yet written, and it lies in our hands. Each of us, in our own small way, can become a guardian for these essential creatures. The solutions begin right in our own backyards and communities. One of the most powerful things we can do is to plant a garden that welcomes bees. By choosing a variety of native flowers that bloom at different times throughout the year, we can create a reliable source of food. Even a small window box on a city balcony can become a vital refueling station for a hungry bee. We must also change the way we think about our gardens and green spaces. A perfectly manicured lawn, free of weeds, is a desert for pollinators. By allowing plants like clover and dandelions to grow, we provide crucial food for bees. It is also essential to avoid using harmful pesticides and herbicides. There are many natural, bee-friendly ways to manage pests in our gardens. When we shop, we can support organic and local farmers who use sustainable practices that protect pollinators. Our choices as consumers can send a powerful message and drive change in the agricultural industry. Communities and governments also have a critical role to play in this effort. We can work together to create pollinator pathways, connecting parks, gardens, and wild spaces to give bees safe corridors to travel. Protecting and restoring natural habitats, such as forests and wetlands, is fundamental to supporting not just bees, but all wildlife. Governments must enforce stronger regulations on the use of harmful pesticides and invest in research to better understand the threats facing our pollinators. Raising awareness through education and celebrating events like World Bee Day can inspire collective action on a global scale. The story of the bee is the story of our planet's interconnectedness. It reminds us that the health of even the smallest creature is tied to our own survival and well-being. By protecting them, we are protecting ourselves. We are ensuring a future filled with diverse foods, beautiful landscapes, and a resilient natural world. Let us be inspired by the tireless work of the bee. Let us work together to build a world where they can not only survive, but thrive. For in their gentle hum, we can hear the promise of a healthier, more hopeful future for all life on Earth.